Well, hello, MysticalRuka. Yes, I'm going to keep on calling you that. I hope the term sticks because I think it's pretty applicable comparing you to Nick, given your level of apparently academic integrity that you've demonstrated so far. And this video will only serve to prove that. But, if you feel insulted about it, think of this as a win-win situation because I get the amusement of using the term for you, and you get to dismiss every single point that I make because I've insulted you. So, hey, think about that aspect of it before you get ticked about the term. But I'm going to talk, this is a video you made called Zomgits, a Social Construct. I had a couple of little points in that video, in your video, that I thought were, well, especially illuminating about your, well, again, your, what you call academics. So the first thing I want to get into is that you showed a map of the United States with varying color distinctions from light to dark, indicating the peace index. Now, I took a close look at the website and just kind of looked at, how that was put together, and looked at the top 10 states, the top 10 most peaceful states and the top 10 least peaceful states, and kind of looking at, where those numbers derive from and such. But that's all irrelevant. The important part is that you then show a map of the United States based on ethnic diversity, meaning the states with the most white people versus the states with the most brown people by percentage of population. And you made the claim, and I love the fact that you used this term, you said a stunning correlation. I hope someday that, you will actually sit in a statistics class and try to use that term, stunning correlation, based on any sample sizes, any sample groups, as the ones you presented there, and try to call it a stunning correlation, because first of all, it's funny. Again, I'll put a link below to the video. You can see it for yourself. Of those states of the peace index, five of the states with the high peace index are also states that have a high Caucasian population, European American population in them, as compared to the other states that have a more diverse, ethnically diverse population. Five out of the top 10. But the other five have ranged from anywhere from a high ethnic diversity to a medium, whatever, ethnic diversity. Likewise, your states that have the least peace index, now you would expect by your own reasoning, your stunning correlation that you put, it makes me laugh every time I hear anybody, anyway, sorry. They should all be the states with the, the most brown people should also have the least. And that turns out not to be the case. In fact, only one of those states, Texas, has a high ethnic diversity. The rest of them have medium to low medium ethnic diversities. Do you not see the problem with that? Again, for a stunning, when I say something would have a stunning correlation, I'm talking, 95%. I'm talking, a high. The correlation should be a measurable high correlation. It shouldn't be, what the reality is, a scatter shot. And in fact, if you actually read the source that you yourself cite, they look at those states that have the lowest peace index, and they have those states have problems with unemployment, poverty, and high population densities. In fact, high population density seems to be one of the major correlative factors in whether or not it ranks on the peace. States with lower diversities, states with lower populations overall, not across the board, but overall, have a higher peace index than states that have high densities of people living in them. That's just one possible factor. They name about 20 different factors that they statistically correlate with this peace index, none of which is ethnic diversity. So you might want to, I don't know where you got that information from. I doubt you researched it yourself. I'm sure somebody told you that and you're just simply reporting it. But the one I wanted to get to that I thought was hilarious is you show this slide. So you claim that a survey of the American Anthropological Association, where the question was asked, there are biological races in the species Homo sapiens. And you report that 69% of physical anthropologists agree with this statement, and 80% of cultural anthropologists agree with this statement. You also give a link to the paper where this is from. Well, I read that paper, and I think you might find it says a little bit different. Lieberman, 2001, the source you cite for the previous slide, states that 69% of physical anthropologists reject the concept of race, and 80% of cultural anthropologists reject the concept of race. I'm a little bit unsure as to why you report this as agree with the concept of race when the actual source says rejected. So applying to your claim the same standards that I use when I'm judging a creationist claim, which again, the comparison is highly appropriate in my opinion, I come up with 3 possible explanations as to why you report the exact opposite of what your source claims, okay? The first, that it's just a simple mistake, that you simply misread it and were trying to be honest, trying to, report as it stated, and you just didn't know the difference between accept versus reject, or agree with versus rejected. In which case it'd be like, whoops, I misread that, I apologize, I'll add an annotation or whatever, okay? Now, if that were the case, I would be inclined to believe that. I would be inclined to accept that if the fact that the claim wasn't so conveniently in support of your entire concept, okay? Your concept being the point you were trying to make to Chris was that most anthropologists accept race still. And therefore, here's evidence that most anthropologists still accept race, when in fact most anthropologists reject the concept of race. The fact that it's so convenient, when you are making a claim so critical to your argument, and you get it completely the opposite, you get it completely wrong, and state the opposite, it's a little too convenient to be a simple accident. The second explanation, is that you're deliberately lying. That you saw what it said, looked at it, and went, oh shit, that proves me wrong. Well, my viewers are idiots. My opposition are a bunch of morons. I'll just state the opposite. Nobody will notice. It supports my claim, and my claim is probably true anyhow. So it doesn't matter if I lie a little bit to deceive the masses. It doesn't make any difference. That's one possibility that I can't outright reject. I kind of doubt it's true only because of number 3. Number 3, which is you reported the fact to the best of your knowledge, as honestly as you could, but you have never actually read the source you cite. You are merely repeating a claim that somebody else said, well, tell them this. Here's a fact for you, and you reported it without actually looking in to see whether or not the source backed up your claim or actually falsified your claim. And I tend to hang a lot of weight on that. I tend to believe that that's probably the most likely. And again, going back to this creationist comparison again, one thing if you may be aware, I've done a extensive investigation, you might say, into creationist claims, finding out the origins of their stories, finding out where these things first came from. And one thing that I have found consistent in creationist literature, if you can call it that, is one person will make a claim. They'll say, this mammoth was dated by carbon dating methods, the front end was dated at 40,000 years and the back end was dated at 20,000 years, or however the claim goes. And they'll have a little citation from a science paper where that information came from. Now, you know, you look at that and you can say, well, you're just lying about what it says, or you're misunderstanding it, or any of the 3 points that I mentioned about your claim, any one of which could be true. However, the next time I see that claim, a completely different creationist is stating that, well, I was reading this scientific paper and I found this information, and they report the exact same flawed statistic that the first creationist. Now I know for a fact, because it's not in the paper. The possibility that one person could misread a paper, sure, I can allow that could happen. But when 2 people misread a paper in the exact same way, making the exact same error, especially when the paper is very clear about what it says, I'm going to call foul, and I'm going to say that one is copying right off the other and just claiming to have been looking at an original source. Does that make sense to you? Do you follow my logic here? And with creationist stuff, of course, you can see where it's dozens of generations of just repeating the same false claims. And many times when there's something, I always get particular enjoyment when it's a misspelling or a miscitation, like the wrong page number from where the claim actually, or the basis of the claim lies, and you see the mistake, the page number, or the misspelling perpetuated throughout their literature. It just sort of nails the case that they're just plagiarizing other material. Your little statistic, at least the portion of it, the 69% of physical anthropologists reject or accept the concept of race, I think that was correct. I found that statistic. I found that exact same statistic from the same citation by MrHerrIQ in a video linked down below in his video description. He states that exact same thing from the American Anthropological Association. So is it a coincidence that you guys both made the same error, or are you just repeating what he said? Okay? I would love it if you would surprise me and actually, in a comment, or even in a video, but a comment, explain which of my 3 propositions is true. Which of them is actually the case for this latter claim, the American Anthropological Association survey that you cite. Why did you cite a source? Why do you write the source down and then say the opposite of what the author said? I'd love to hear it.